It was, where is this one? Here it is. Is it playing? Is it? It says it's playing. Oh, it's muted. There we go. So, now it's on to the two new royal ones. First of which is, Maruki. Maruki is, he's added for royal. Basically after the events of having a serial rapist or something. I don't know what everything he's done. A rapist and abuser at the high school. The school had this idea that maybe their students might need therapy.
Maybe.
And so they hired one person to handle the therapy of an entire school of abused kids.
Yep.
And enter Maruki, this awkward 20-something-year-old postdoctorate?
Yeah.
Who's has very nebulous paper he's working on that they don't talk about for most of the late game. And he provides therapy for everybody, which is mostly kind of just hearing what they wish the world, like what they wish was differently, and then giving them snacks. He loves to give everybody snacks.
Yum yum.
And he, interestingly enough, you have to get him to rank 10 before like mid-November when he leaves, or you cannot access the royal content. I found this out after I was already in the royal content, I think, when I was looking up something online, and I got a little annoyed about that because while it didn't affect me, that's kind of shitty for players who like might have spent 100 hours only to find out they can't do it. The game warns you that he's leaving a couple times, but it doesn't obviously say that if you don't max things out with him, then you can't do the new content. And even more so, by the time it's giving you warnings, if you haven't at least started his ranks, you might not have enough time. But that being said, most of his interesting stuff happens in the post-game, in the royal content, where he, it turns out he was a Persona user, and he was studying cognitive science, and as he had said previously, that he wants to like heal everybody's like mental trauma all at the world like simultaneously, which is there's multiple things I can say about that, but he turns out he can do that because he's a Persona user, and his special ability is he can change a person's cognition. He can rewrite their cognition through actualization, so they cognitively see the world differently, and he does it to great effect. The next character we'll talk about, but he does it kind of to most of the parties except for Ren and Akechi. Ren because I don't know, because he's like super powerful with multiple personas, and Akechi I guess because he's dead. And how do you rewrite the cognition of a dead person? But either way, Maruki then becomes the big boss, as you need to be like, wait, maybe it's wrong for you to rewrite the world's cognition and like just change how they view the world. Also though, like, it is implied to you, they say something along the lines that once it's past a certain date, anybody in the actualized reality can never go to real reality again. So that's a problematic thing that they never talk about again. Rather, they just focus on whether it's right or wrong for people to, without choice, have their cognitions rewritten. And it's definitely maybe a morally gray area. Like, he's helping people, but they also aren't necessarily seeking help consciously. but it's subconsciously what they want. And there's a whole argument there. There's also he's depriving them the chance of reaching their goals on their own merits.
Yeah.
Oh crap! There's a just a second. There's somebody I need to There we go. Sorry, it was somebody in chat. So otherwise, he is a very layered, nuanced villain, which is pretty much unheard of for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Where everybody is very morally in the black. This is a morally gray character. His persona is I forgot the name of it, but it's an eldritch deity of chaos. And he manages to evolve it mid-fight into Adam Sandler or something.
Azathoth into Adam. Where is it? Oh, I lost it.
I think it's Adam Sandler.
Adam Cadmon, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Adam Cadmon, yeah.
I mean, I looked it up. It's the first man, not according to the Adam and Eve myth, but according to some other thing.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it just was very ridiculous to me where he kept being like, lend me your aid, Adam Cadmon. Together, me and Adam Cadmon will... I'm just like, this just sounds like this is just some dude. Like, this is your friend.
Yeah, it should have just been the other way around.
What?
Azathoth is definitely like a cooler like thing to like be referring to when you're trying to like be evil.
Yeah, it was in a moment where everything felt very heavy. It kept kind of like was jarring. I kind of liked it for the jokes, but it was kind of broke my immersion a little there when a lot of heavy stuff were happening. And I will say there is a final fight with Maruki that is the best fight in the game. The final fight with him. No
so
personas.
You press X to pay your respects.
Just punching each other back and forth. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, it's interesting to have a morally gray villain here. I know that our friend Shady was saying it's his favorite villain because of that. But I kind of like in Persona 5 how absolutely evil the villains are. And while it definitely gives more to think about, and I do think Maruki is a more interesting final boss than the Holy Grail, I don't know. I wish you were able to have more discourse with him on the morality of it. Because you are literally just given two options. Either accept it or fight against it. There's never... Ren is never allowed to sit down and discuss it with him. Which Maruki even seems down to just discuss it at least. But that's not an option. You can't have a moral conversation with him. It's just either he's wrong or he's right. And I know it's a game and it probably isn't that easy to put that into there, but honestly, with the complexity of Persona, they probably could have found some way to implement something like that. And especially with the focus on like social links and stuff, they could have had the final boss be partially like an ongoing discussion mixed in with a fight.
Yeah, where like you have to continually affirm your convictions for a
even have like
reality of your own choosing.
Yeah, even have like multiple endings from that point, like several endings depending on how you go with the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, maybe one of them you convince him to join your side, but another one you have to forcibly defeat him because you couldn't convince him. Like,
yeah.
I think they could have had it a little more interesting. I don't dislike him though. I appreciate the snacks. I would probably put him like at the bottom of A tier.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, Maruki's like a very interesting character because like I immediately gravitated towards him, partly because I see a lot of myself in him in the way that he presents himself originally, right? As like a very compassionate, like kind of awkward, like
very idealistic,
yeah, person who like means well, right? And is trying to like be whatever people need him to be, right? So like I definitely
I have to say, in regards to awkwardness, I forgot I did want to mention, I love when he introduces himself and leaves the academy and he bows and hits his head on the mic.
Yeah.
It is like, it's great characterization.
Yeah, 100%, right? And it's like I said, like when I saw him, I was like, oh, cool, you know, like this is definitely, like I like him a lot, you know? And then the whole plot happened, right? And you see what he does with Kazumi, right? And
I'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. But like the thing with me, for those of you who don't know, I talked to ShyJB about it in private, but a lot of Atlus's games, especially in the Shin Megami Tensei oeuvre, really balance the concepts of law versus chaos, right? It's not necessarily good or evil. It's just like order at the expense of individuality, or like, you know, all hell breaks loose at the ultimate form of freedom and expression, right? And you like the games really make you think about, you know, what's best in those situations, and a lot of the games really, that's the main gimmick. As you play the games, the decisions you make throughout the game affect which ending you're going to get based on whether you've chosen actions that lead you to be a morally lawful person versus a chaotic one, right?
Yeah.
So I think Maruki was the law to the Phantom Thieves' chaos.
Which is interesting because his persona is a deity of chaos.
Yeah, right? And it's like, that's the other thing, you know, like, Yaldabaoth was also supposed to be like, you know, the god of control, which is also like the law and chaos again play into the major overall themes, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Maruki.
I kind of felt it was like a case of chaos versus a different chaos. It's kind of,
yeah, exactly, right? Like at that point, like once Yaldabaoth left, right, and left that gate being void of law, like Maruki tried to superimpose like his will into it. And it became, like you said, this like chaotic, but like chaotic good at the expense of people's like agency, right? Which is where like I still consider it kind of towards more law than anything else, because like that's like what I consider the downfalls of the law roots, is that you lose agency, right? Whereas in chaos, it's like, yeah, the world's literally falling apart, but like you have complete freedom to do whatever you want, right? So for me, I am a person who tends to get the lawful endings naturally, because the first time I play the games, I make decisions based on what I would choose in that space, and that would be a very lawful guy. So like Maruki makes sense to me, right? And like I really, for all the bad that the game wants you to portray it, it just feels like a very empty, like very narcissistic decision of the Phantom Thieves to be like, yeah, like we don't want this, so therefore like the entire world doesn't get to have it either, you know? And it's like, there might be people that want like to like be able to not have to stress about their trauma, you know? Like there might be people that want to like live happy lives without having to worry about.
I mean, the problem, like, I think the real problem there is Maruki, it's not some, it's all or nothing.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that's what it is, right? It's like that loss of agency. You don't choose anymore, right? Like
Oh.
You will get an idyllic life without having to work for it, whether you want to or not, you know? And, you know, like, I'm of the camp that's like, I don't know, like, do I think, like, I don't even know if I would even know that that's a problem, right? Like, if suddenly my life just went right every single step of the way, I wouldn't be like, oh, somebody, like, took away my agency.
I mean, nobody,
like, oh,
I think the point was nobody knew.
Yeah, and that's my point, right? I'm like, if I don't know, and things are just good, why is it a problem? You know, so like as a character, right?
Which is why I said
Maruki.
Go on.
Yeah, but as a character, I really like Maruki because like I don't see him, like you said, it's like a very nuanced, like very gray villain, which is like a lot different than all the other villains in the game. As a confidant, kind of milquetoast, middle of the road. You know, like it goes down a couple of pegs because you have to get it to be able to do the new content, but it's not automatic, which makes it, like you said, that you could theoretically miss out on it. And I don't like that, right? Like, it's like gatekeeping content behind, obviously not extremely behind anything, but it still just feels like it rubbed me the wrong way when I learned about it myself.
Yeah.
So regardless of like all the good skills and stuff and like that, right, that it may give you, I think that brings it down a couple of notches to like literally middle of B, so like right down the middle of the road.
There. I did forget to mention his relationship with his ex. What was her name? Sumi.
Mm-hmm.
Sumi. And it was an interesting motivator, but I also felt like his actions didn't make a ton of sense there. Because when she had her cognition rewritten and was more or less happy at that point, she still wanted to get to know him, and he's just like, nope, can't have a relationship with you now. And I'm like, why not? You literally rewrote her cognition so she doesn't have the trauma, so it's not like you would trigger the trauma again.
Wait, can you say that again?
So when Sumi had her cognition rewritten, she was she wanted to get to know him again, even though he said he had a girlfriend. She said that this is weird, would you like want to see each other again, stuff. And he was like, he was like, no. He was like, he to himself was like, I can't get her like pulled into stuff again that'll hurt her. But her cognition was rewritten, and he was aware of that. There was zero reason for him not to just be with her if she wanted to be with him still. I felt like he was unnecessarily punishing himself, and maybe that was part of it. But like, it seems like he's just taking away her chance of what she wants just for the sake of that's part of your old cognitive reality. I don't know. I didn't feel that part didn't make a lot of sense to me in terms of him as a character, especially since it was so fresh. I see no reason why he wouldn't have at least given a chance to see her again.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I hope that in the true ending that there can be the chance that he goes back to her.
Yeah. A fun little anecdote, which is also a sad little anecdote. Maruki was voiced by our very own Ferdinand von Ayer, Billy Kametz. May he rest in peace. It's one of the last roles he did before he passed away.
That's sad.
I know, but like Ferdinand von Ayer, right? And you got Hubert fighting Ferdinand. It makes sense.
Yeah. Even though they're the same house, but
yeah, but they were like next to each other.
Yeah. Okay, so the last one, I don't know, what is this song? I don't remember the song. I'm trying to see if one of these fits the final one good.
Yeah.
What's this one? Do you remember when this plays?
I can barely hear them, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't know you couldn't hear.
I can hear them. It shorted a little bit because as it gets later, I get sensory overloaded, so I start risking a migraine.
No, this one has to do with Maruki.
I upped the volume so I can hear it now.
Oh, it also has lyrics. Sure, this probably works.
Oh, this is pretty good, yeah. This is like when you, I think it's when you're like hanging out but don't rank up.
Maybe. Zykrel, I don't think, but it wasn't a relationship that was never going to be. He could have been with her. She was interested in him. Anyways, so final confidant. Do we call her Kasumi? Kasumi? Or do you call her Sumire? I call her Sumire.
We should honor who she really is, but we're meant to believe that she's Kazumi for most of the game. But she's
only
really
for half of her
Sumire.
ranks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when Maruki first started using his power, one of his first intentional actualizations he did is on this girl, Sumire, who she recently lost her sister, who saved her from being hit by a car and got hit instead.
Kazumi. Yeah.
And Sumire, unable to cope, wanted...
Twin sister.
Yeah,
right?
Twin sister, yep. Wait, was it twin? She said no, because it was her older sister.
Older sister, you're right. I'm looking at her Wikipedia page.
Yeah, because Sumire couldn't cope with it well, and really wished she could just be... that she was Kasumi, because Kasumi she thinks would have been able to handle the loss of her sister more. And so Maruki rewrites her cognition to think she is Kasumi, because that's what she wants. It thinks she'll be happier that way. And so she introduces herself to the player as Kasumi, and is Kasumi Yoshizawa. If you pay attention, nowhere in the game do any characters outside of the direct party members, I think even the direct party members, only call her Yoshizawa.
Yeah, Yoshizawa-san.
And which you find out part of her cognition being rewritten is when anybody says Sumire, she hears Kasumi. And so you just by chance never find out because nobody else addresses her by first name to you, or by given name. So you only have the name she went with. After the royal content starts, you find out the truth of what happened, and part of the plot there is trying to get Sumire to accept that she can be herself and that she doesn't need the crutch of trying to be Kasumi, and like deal with her trauma like I guess a normal human. And which sucks. It absolutely sucks. Losing someone to that is really awful. But it's a thing that happens, and running away from it isn't necessarily healthy. And the bandage of her trying to be Kasumi wasn't working, because she was failing her gymnastics meets, not because she was bad at gymnastics, but because she was trying to do it all the way her sister did it. And she couldn't do that. She wasn't her sister. So she was failing and being threatened to be kicked out of honors, which is a crappy thing to threaten, but meanwhile her coach and stuff couldn't get through to her, trying to tell her that she's needs to think about her own style. Which, of course, none of them realize that she thinks she's her sister. They just think that she's trying to copy her sister's style. So, her ranks going forward are her learning that and realizing that Sumire Yoshizawa was also good at gymnastics, had her own style, had her own things she was good at. She was good at cooking. She had her own goals and interests. She just was too busy actively choosing to live in her sister's shadow her whole life that she didn't know how to be herself. It's a huge thing that honestly shouldn't have been able to be resolved in like a month after she found out who she was. Hopefully she got therapy later, but it's implied. I think she just went into gymnastics. They all need therapy. None of them got good therapy. But otherwise, Sumire's, I think she's super cute in both her outfit. Though I did like her with the bow a lot. It took me some warming up for her normal style. But honestly, when I got to rank 9, it was so adorable. She quickly became my favorite, the female character I most liked in that way. And which stinks, because even if I was trying to only go, if I wasn't doing harem, if I was doing one person, I wouldn't have known the real Sumire until after I would have pretty much had to pick somebody. And because for one, you don't even see that Kasumi is romanceable until you unlock the cap on her ranks. But 2, you know her as Kasumi, and she's a very different person. I thought she was cute as Kasumi, but I didn't find her as appealing as a character. She was kind of Little Miss Perfect that was failing at being perfect, and that was about it. And it wasn't explained well why, because for intentional reasons. And she, I thought she was fine, but once she revealed her true self as Sumire, and once she got past the initial trauma and a little more self-confident, I really liked the character. As for her persona, Cinderella?
Yeah.
Cinderella?
Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella. Which I think the 3rd stage is another version of Cinderella.
Yeah, it's literally just Ella, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I think it's a really badass take on Cinderella. I like the way the persona looks. And her outfit, her rebellious outfit, is my favorite outfit in the game. It looks really badass. The mask looks really nice. And I like the way she fights with, like, it looks like a rapier, but I think it's just a Western sword. And as opposed to Yusuke's Eastern sword.
Yeah.
Like, considering she's the one that I felt I wished I could undo the harem route for, I can't not put her in S rank.
Yeah. You would definitely die for her.
But still not above a Y.
Yeah.
I told if I could have romanced a Y, I would have.
100%. So for me, I like Kazumi Sumire. I like Sumire a lot. Like you said, right? Like her outfit's badass. The fact that she actively refuses to join the Phantom Thieves after her awakening was also very funny.
Oh, that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'll pass.
I'll be honest. I got to like, let's see. I think I got to Haru's father's palace, and I was like, this is so late in the game. She's gonna join us. And there was like that scene. I was like, okay, she's gonna join us. And then she was like, I won't join us. I'm like, okay. But she was in the opening, so she's got to join us by the time we finish Sai's palace. Nope, didn't join us didn't either. And then I was like, okay, well, we're going into Shido's. This is like the last palace, right? You got to join us this palace. Nope, she didn't join us. So I was like, oh, wait, there's mementos. Okay, well, I guess she joined us for the final palace. Nope, she didn't join us. I was like,
No.
when do I get to use this badass girl?
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's like the reverse of, like you said, the reverse of Haru, where you're like, oh yeah, she's gonna be a playable character. It's just like a matter of when. It's like, no, she's literally just like, you get to use her once. It's the Donkey Kong meme.
I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be one, so it's just like, they're seriously going to make me to wait till the last month, the post-game? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, she has a great, her great, what's it called? The Showtime.
Oh, the Showtime.
I loved her Showtime.
Yeah. But yeah, I like her Confidant a lot. It definitely falls prey to like a very similar situation because like you can only get up to rank 5 before it's like locked, and so I don't remember when it continues. Is it like after post game?
Yeah, it's in
Like
January.
royal stuff?
It's after you get her to accept being Sumire.
Yeah, like you get to rank 5 and then you can't do it for a while.
Yep.
I
I actually don't like
like
her. I don't like her grappling hook ability because if you trigger that, you can't do the out of battle KO from Ryuji's.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you press A too early, then you do that.
Yeah. What am I thinking? But yeah, I like her a lot as a character. The other thing, like as a character, that I don't like, I don't know if we're actually gonna get around to doing the other ones, but the community really thought that she was gonna be the female playable character.
The femc I saw.
Yeah, which I was hoping in my heart of hearts, like because Persona 3 did it, Persona 4 Golden didn't, but we were like, please, she looks like she's like this filling the same role as Joker, right? Like, so maybe, and that would have been so good. But I also like that she has a personality though, which would have been, harder to do if you're a silent protagonist. So with all that said, I wouldn't go all the way up to S. And I think part of it is just because I did play vanilla first, so like it took, I had to slog through like my 7th or 8th playthrough of vanilla to get to even interact with her at any meaningful capacity.
Yeah.
So like I was already burnt out towards that end, but I do like her a lot. I would rank her A, but not above any of the playable characters aside from Mona. Well, above the kid. I forget his name already.
Shinya?
Shinya Oda, I think is his last name.
Ota.
But yeah. Ota, no! Now he's down. Now he's C rank. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I will say, I was gonna say something. I was appreciative that when you do Harem Path, the person you go to Valentine's Day with doesn't seem to find out about the confrontation. So I was like, well, I could take some solace in the fact that Sumire does not know that Rena is a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I took Haru for that reason. I'm like, my heart cannot. I
honestly kind of didn't like it that at the very end when you talk to everybody and say your goodbyes, all the romanced characters still act like you're together. They act like nothing happened.
Yeah, no, that's I feel like the whole harem root thing is just so baked into the fandom as it is that while they want to include it, they don't want it to be
punish
ultimately
players.
Right.
Yeah. Well, either way, that's the tier list. I don't think we will do the other tier lists, but we could say some quick, brief thoughts on any of the NPCs. In terms of villains, I kind of felt the villains were best near the start, and they kind of went a little downhill as the game went on.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely front-loaded the better villains.
Like Kamoshida, I don't think I hated somebody as much as Kamoshida, which is good for a villain.
Like, Kamoshida's like final boss levels of scumbag.
Yeah, and then Madarame was like pretty high up there. But
like he didn't actively like kill anybody.
Yeah, the gangster Kanashiro's that. Yeah, Kanashiro's forgettable to me.
Kanashiro is like a Muppet villain.
Haru's dad is honestly only meaningful to me because it's Haru's dad.
Yeah, like ultimately, like aside from him being a scumbag to Haru, like he was like lawful evil, you know?
Yeah. Shido at that point, I was so distorted, and this is just a real life like person. This is just like somebody. Yeah. This is some politician. I won't name any names here. Like,
yeah.
Like at this point, like I can't even muster enough feeling towards it. And then when it was the god of control, I was just like, this is silly. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
what about Principal Kobayakawa?
I mean, we never got to fight him. And I'll forever be salty about that. I was looking forward to taking down that jerk. He probably would have been right below Kamoshida.
He's so bad, yeah.
Like, but he can live forever in the hatred of my heart. So, other
from this list.
What?
Yeah, I was gonna say you wanted to talk about Mika for a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that
and Shiho.
I know Mika is, from what I saw online, really detested by the fan base. I love
Mika.
I also know she's in the manga side story.
Yeah.
But
I love Mika because like Mika's not like
I love her
bad
because she's shady. She's shady as
she's shady. That's what it is.
Even An, the one who was actually screwed by her, was like, I don't hate her.
Yeah, she's like, she's good.
She was just like, oh wow,
she is good. Like,
yeah, and she motivated An.
Yeah, like An and Mika have like actively made me reconsider how I think about people, right? Because it's like literally, like they were like rivals, but like they're like rivals. They're not like enemies, you know?
I mean, I think Mika saw An as an enemy.
Yeah, Mika definitely is.
An An sees Mika as a frenemy.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, I would have romanced Mika if that was an option. Mika was great.
Mika was great.
She was kind of shitty, but just shitty enough.
Yeah, like she's like the friend who can like help you get into like a sold out event, you know, because she just happens to know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah,
and then like won't let you live it down.
Like when she first like crocodile teared and stuff, and I was like kind of like, oh, this poor girl, and then she like smirks evilly, and and I'm like, oh, I think I love you. That's messed up.
No, great. It's great. We love an evil queen.
I told you from the start, I like shady characters. So
no, for sure.
And she has all the shade.
There's a character in 4 that gives very big Mika energy. You'll be a fan.
When I eventually get to that, I'll keep my eye out.
She's the only person who you could fail the Confidant and just break it. Like, you could just say the wrong thing and she's like, I'm never going to speak to you again. Goodbye.
Man, I'd be so tempted.
It's great.
I want her to hate me, kinda.
Well, she hates you anyways, but, you know, she's just going to hate you enough to not want to engage you any further.
Okay. Was there any others you wanted to mention?
Shiho is.
Shiho. Yeah, we mentioned her a little.
Yeah, we talked about a little bit in Lavenza. Like, I like Lavenza a lot. I like her.
I wish I got to know Lavenza more. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I liked her more than the twins just because I didn't get to know her enough compared to the twins. Mm-hmm. Like, there was all those fun scenes with the twins, and she's just kind of like, oh, I'm the real version, and I'm not nearly as, like, demeaning. And I'm like, can you be a little demeaning? Just a little?
Yeah, she's more well-adjusted, and it's kind of a problem.
You're being too nice to me. I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even the community and like the company even knows, because like in all this like subsequent side story content, they go back to being the twins. They're just like, we just like being separate.
There.
But I like Lavenza because she reminds me of the other Velvet attendants more than Caroline and Justine do, so that's just like a bias towards, you know, the other Persona games more than representation of her character. Oh, and then Jose.
Oh, do we have to say anything on Jose?
I did actively.
I did that boss.
I wish she didn't exist.
I did that boss. I fought Jose.
Yeah. Like, Jose is one of the things that I mentioned to Shad JV that I'm like, I consider it a downgrade from the original game.
I mean, I don't mind for the grinding,
collecting,
but I don't mind the increased XP that made me hit level 99 very fast. But
yeah. No, it would have been had they done that in another way, that would have been great, right?
But like everything else about him, I don't like. I don't like the way he looks. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like his personality because they never explain anything. They don't explain who he is.
Well, yeah, and like that's the thing, right? He's like robotic, but like he has yellow eyes, which is like the key thing of Velvet Room attendants. But he's not a Velvet Room attendant, right? So it's like, who are you?
Maybe I would have liked him if at the end, after the boss fight with him, they gave some closure on who he was, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And so,
like I thought that it might have been like another piece of Lavenza that got separated, but like again, like you said, we know nothing. Like it's just an enigma, just to exist for gameplay purposes.
Yeah. So ultimately, yeah, outside of I liked the increased grinding, there wasn't much else. I'd skip through half his text and yeah.
And just for the heck of it, like, what was your favorite palace?
Musically, it was Size, and probably visually, but to traverse, trying to think of them all. Honestly, maybe actually Kamoshida's. The design was very tight. It wasn't very
it's also
labyrinthine.
It's like your first foray into like dungeon delving.
Yeah,
but it's a good first taste.
It's hard to pick. I really liked most of them. I didn't much care for Okumura's.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just Shido's felt underwhelming after Size.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like towards, like when you get towards that point in the plot, you're like 100, like for me, right? You're like at least over 50 hours in, and you're just like trying to get through it, right? Like it's like a lull in the story. Okumura is a villain, but like like you said, like by that point, it just feels like they're like less and less like bad, you know? So like I agree in that sense, and Sai is just like such a breath of fresh air. I like Futaba's Palace a lot for diegetic and non-diegetic reasons. It was a lot of Persona 4, and that's all I'll say. But I think that's my favorite.
Fair. I definitely did like that one a lot, other than the section in the town that they make you do early on.
Yeah, the pyramid section specifically. And then musically, Sai's Palace is the best. And then The Days My Mother Was There is just a fantastic song.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The game was filled with...
Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so at this point. It's been kind of an exhaustive discussion.
Yeah, we've
so-
done a good job.